All right. Hello. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Her Rules, a talk show for women where we having a conversation amongst generations of women. I am Latasha Nicole, and I am your host today. I am the owner of Pivot Point Publishing, where I help women to tell their stories and write their books. I am also the executive director of Pearls and Gems Elite, which is a non-for-profit mentoring program for girls ages 9 to 14. Today I have 3 guests on my show, and on the show Her Rules, I'm going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. We will start all the way down to my right.
Excellent. All right. So my name is Olivia Jones. I am currently a program facilitator at Girls Inc. of Chicago, which is a nonprofit that introduces girls to STEM and introduces them to ultimately be strong, smart, and bold. And what that means is taking on roles within male-dominated fields, whether that be mechanic, engineering, technology, whatever it is, whatever their heart desires, our job is to mentor them through that process. And I'm also a MSW student. I'm getting my Master's of Social Work from Chicago State University. I graduated from Howard University. And I am the millennial.
This is our millennial today. Hey, Olivia.
Hello, hello. Oh, I'm also Mama Tasha's other daughter.
I got a bunch of daughters.
She played a huge role in my life.
But
Ari and I are 10 plus friends, 10 plus years, and I'm only 24, so.
They go way, way back.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Dynette Davis and I am the CEO of Dimensions Educational Consulting, LLC. We are based out of Dallas, Texas, but we extend our tutoring and college planning services in the city of Chicago as well as Atlanta.
Okay, welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Reverend Andrea Horton. I am an ordained minister. I am staff chaplain for Women's Health at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. I do a lot of research around storytelling, story writing, and how that affects and helps, especially Black women in the healing process, physically, mentally, and emotionally. I am a writer and a blogger, so you can check my blog out at Andrea Horton ESQ at .wixsite.com, because I'm also a licensed attorney. I don't take cases. I don't represent people. I'm not going to court.
She not taking cases, y'all.
Your little nephew that caught a case, I don't do it.
Okay.
But I am happy to be here.
So I should also say that Andrea is also a co-author in the upcoming book that we have coming out, Sis Stand on My Shoulders, which was the inspiration behind the podcast. Sis Stand on My Shoulders is a collection of letters that are written to the 20-something-year-olds. That's why we have a millennial on stage with us, so we can continue the conversation. The book is written by women that are 30-plus years old, and it will be out, shameless plug, September 7th. Go to sisstandonmyshoulders.com. Come out to our book launch event. Join us. We're going to have a good time. But let's go ahead and get into today's show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And what we're talking about today is put some respect on your name. Not on my name, like Birdman said, but put some respect on your own name. We're talking about the self-love journey. But before we get into it, y'all know we got to stop and do what's the tea. So everybody up here got their t-shirt on. And we all going to talk about why we chose to wear the t-shirt that we wear and what it represents for us. So let me go ahead and get started, and then we'll start back to the right with Olivia. So my shirt says, "Just a Woman from Chicago." This is one of the shirts from our t-shirt business, Say It With Your Chest Tees. We did have this custom designed, and what it represents for me is the ability to do anything. You know, we all come from a place and we can all do whatever we want to do and go anywhere. So anything that I do, anybody can do it. Anybody that tries and achieves and strives can do it. So Just a Woman from Chicago represents the everyday woman doing her thing.
Okay, I don't want to get it wrong, but my shirt says, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. What it represents to me is I am 4 generations removed from slavery. And I carry that with me everywhere I go. I went to a historically black university where I walked on campuses where some of the first black women to ever go to college walked. And I'm sure that my great-great-grandmother, to see me now today, have a college degree, working on a second degree, going to school, going to work, being productive, being a good citizen in society, understanding what social justice is, and as a social worker, not being a pillar of being a social worker and what my pledge is, and when I will become a social worker, what the pledge will be, understanding that I'm going to make history. Okay. And I bet she could only imagine, like, oh, my great-great-granddaughter is going to be a philanthropist one day.
She probably never thought that.
Like, you know, and so I take it to heart. I wear my class ring every day. I have her initials in it. And so it means a lot to me to have progressed where I've progressed and to kind of be that role model for people. People tell me all the time, you're awesome, like you're awesome. But then when you read the shirt, it's like, yo, I'm awesome. Like I'm dope. Like I'm
Put
awesome.
Some respect on your name.
Yep. So that's why I wear my shirt, because I'm breaking bounds every day. And
do your thing, girl. Dynette.
Nice. So my shirt says, "When you see her, know that's me," and it's signed by God.
Love
and
it.
This basically represents every step I take, everything I do. He's involved in it. He initiated it. He's covering it and protecting me through every area of my life. 7 years ago, when I started my business, it was an idea. It was a dream.
Starts with a dream.
And a lot of people said to me, just continue to teach, because
they wanted you to stay in your job.
Stay in the classroom. Mm-hmm. Just continue to teach. Don't leave elementary ed. You're great at it. Don't go to higher ed. Stay with the babies.
Stay where it's comfortable.
Yes, stay with the babies.
You don't grow when you're comfortable.
Absolutely not. So what I decided 7 years ago, I formed Dimensions Educational Consulting, and I did it with God by my side.
And we should mention about the upcoming event that you are having this
yes,
Saturday.
yes.
She is in Chicago for a specific purpose. Tell them about it.
I am. So on Saturday, August 24th, on the campus of Chicago State University, we will be hosting our College Ready College Planning Conference. And the conference focuses on every area of preparing students, parents, and administration for the college experience, the application process. And we're going to have a great time from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. And hopefully you guys can come out and invite some high schoolers to come and join you as well.
Yeah, if you know some high schoolers, have them come out. I'll be doing a workshop there.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. We're together again.
Reunited.
Go ahead. My shirt says, "Defining myself for myself." Then it says, "Thanks, Audrey." It's a nod to Audre Lorde, who was a black feminist writer, activist, and thinker. First reason I wore this shirt is because it's designed by a black woman who has her own company. So shout out to my soror, my girl, Chrissy, Teresa, Concita Cabin, Philosophers. Philosopher is her company.
I like it.
But the other reason why I wore this shirt is because in so much, being over 40 now, for so much of my life, I think that we are taught and given narratives about who we are, especially as black women. I did mention a project that I'm working on. I'm curating a book with other black women. We're telling our stories of what the word strong means to us, because I think that there's this myth about what it means to be a strong black woman, and I literally see in the hospital every day the results of us ingesting that myth.
Oh wow, we just talked about that last week about taking in and taking on other people's struggles.
But we think that that's who we have to be.
Put some respect on your own name.
Exactly.
Self-care, self-love.
So yeah.
Okay. So now that we got the introductions out the way, Let's get this party started. Y'all ready?
Yes.
So I'm super excited about today's show. We got a couple topics to talk about, but before we get started, I just got a question for everybody. Who got the best chicken sandwich?
Oh my goodness.
Is it Wendy's? Is it Popeyes?
It's not
is
Wendy's.
It Chick-fil-A?
It's not Wendy's.
Who got the best chicken sandwich?
It's me. I'm cooking my own
Ooh.
chicken sandwich. I'm not.
I'll come into your house.
No
If it's
skin in the game.
better.
I don't eat chicken.
So you don't eat chicken?
I don't eat chicken.
Okay.
The Popeye sandwich does look fire though, but I don't eat chicken.
I had the Popeyes chicken sandwich. It didn't excite me.
No.
I wasn't excited. It excited you, Liv?
Listen, I went back for a second one the
It
next
gave you
day.
life?
That pickle?
The pickle? Chick-fil-A got the pickles.
They
Okay,
do.
so my thing about Chick-fil-A is, I'll read you this post because I feel like this post explains it perfectly. I'm in a group chat with my line sisters. We are accountability partners. And one of them said, I hope y'all not out there eating on these chicken sandwiches. And I had to come clean.
Okay.
I had to.
Okay.
But so it says, okay, let me break it down for the people who haven't had a chicken sandwich from either Chick-fil-A or Popeyes. Chick-fil-A sandwich tastes like it was cooked by a white woman named Sarah who grew up around black people. The flavor is definitely there, but Sarah cares about your cholesterol. So she's careful about the breading and the grease content. Popeye's chicken sandwich tastes like it was cooked by an older lady named Lucille that serves on the usher board and has 12 grandkids and calls her Medea. Medea don't care about your cholesterol because
like
God's in
Holiday.
control. And so
That's the difference. So
it is good.
I saw a post on Facebook that said, y'all just think Popeye's chicken sandwich is good because y'all got poor taste buds.
So, listen, I am cultured, okay? My mom, I have been to France. I have tasted plenty of things. Oysters are my favorite food to eat on my birthday. I love steak. I have great taste buds, okay? I just don't eat mushrooms. So, in my opinion,
Your culture.
yes, my
Okay.
cultured opinion, Popeye's chicken sandwich is better.
All right.
And they open on Sundays.
Listen here.
Well, now you have a point there.
I feel like all of them are right. I don't love any of the chicken sandwiches. I do like the chicken sandwich from Wendy's, but I don't like spicy chicken, so none of that does anything for me. But I just have to get that out there. Let's get this done, get this out the way. So we came here to talk about self-love. So as we get started, I wanted to share something that I saw on Facebook. Actually, I saw it. It was shared with me. It was a story about a lady who hung a toddler, and she also hit 3 men with her minivan. So she was in Minnesota. This happened about 10 years ago, but about a month ago, she got sentenced. And so what she did, she had a toddler. She hung this toddler in her basement, put a noose around his neck, hung him. He didn't die. And then when she was trying to get away, she hit 2 or 3 people with her minivan.
Wow.
This lady ended up getting 10 years probation.
No.
No jail time. No, 10 years probation is what she got. And she got that because she tried to commit suicide, of course, during her trial and all of that. And she says she was this way because she was abused by her spouse. So that put her in the position to be angry and upset. And I think that's part of the problem when you don't put some respect on your own name and when you don't love on yourself. You put yourself in situations like this. You have this perplexed look on your face. I gotta know what you're thinking.
It's not fully formed as a thought yet. Because of the work I do across the board, hospital, minister, you run into people that are experiencing all kinds of life issues, right? And so domestic violence is a real issue. It's a real problem. And so I know that there are legal defenses that you can employ that has domestic violence syndrome or something like that. I don't want to misname it. As a legal defense for your actions.
For someone other than the person who is your abuser?
Yes, because they'll say that it can alter your mental status in such a way that it's almost like you're acting out of a traumatic or post-traumatic kind of,
okay.
whatever. But that's what I was going to say. So it would be easier for me to swallow the result of that trial or that sentence if this were she was trying to hit or hang her abuser.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then, but it's a baby.
A child. Yeah, she hung
And
a
then
child.
3 people who had nothing to do with what happened to you. Like, I get it. So, like, I understand the defense, but I think that's really lenient, and I don't want to go there too hard. But was she, like?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was. You think that's the reason?
I mean,
Absolutely.
there's bias in the criminal justice system.
You looking for the story, Libby?
No, I'm trying to share the Facebook link.
Okay. Did you see it? Were you able to share it?
My friends in Philly are saying the link is not working.
Okay. Are we live?
But I'm trying to share it via message,
Okay.
not via Facebook.
Yeah, we're live. Okay. So let's get back to it. So what are your thoughts, Dynette?
Our system is definitely flawed, and I'm piggybacking on everything that you just said. However, I do believe that at some point we have to start holding elected officials accountable for the decisions that they're making. Some elected official, a judge, a prosecutor, defense attorney, whomever was involved in that case made a poor decision. They shouldn't be reelected.
Okay.
And that's where the problem lies.
A
We
poor
continue to reelect.
decision as to give her 10 years of probation?
To give her
Okay.
probation.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you agree, Libby?
So coming from my social work viewpoint, my first question was, did she have a mental illness? Did we even talk about or think about her mental maybe an untreated mental illness? Domestic violence, I did a 40-hour domestic violence training, so I'm domestic violence trained this summer. And listening to some of the stories,
It's real. It's definitely
people
real.
go like, and I can only imagine that being a trigger or something that stimulates an onset of a mental illness.
Okay.
So when we think about placing someone in jail and doing things like that, I'm very hesitant to automatically say she should be placed in jail for the rest of her life.
Okay.
Because whether she's willing to speak on her story or not, we don't know exactly what was going on in that household.
Agreed. So the thing is that no one actually died as a result of this. So I can understand her not going to jail for the rest of her life. However, 10 years of probation, what does that even come with? Like, how do we know this isn't going to happen again?
Exactly.
How do we know that whatever stress or trauma or whatever situation that caused her to do this the first time is being resolved?
Exactly.
And that kind of relates to what we're talking about today when we're talking about self-love and self-care. When you're in a traumatic situation, how do you help yourself? What type of ways can you help yourself when you're experiencing trauma?
Well, I think one of the things is that you might not be able to.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think to your point, she might not be able to. And so even short of jail, there are others, she could have been directed to a hospital,
Absolutely.
say, because she might not be able to do what she needs to do in order to care for herself. And I absolutely believe that there is some underlying mental illness or some mental illness induced by, even if it's depression, that induced by what she went through. But it's evident that you can't care for yourself. Like, things happen and sometimes we just can't. And so the responsibility then of the court, and we don't know what the conditions of her probation are.
Correct.
She might have mandated mental health treatment. She might have other mandated things to remediate or address some of the stuff that was going on. But it is the responsibility of the courts. If she cannot do that for herself, then they need to be able to get her to a place where she can get the help she needs, but also that while she's getting that help, that she doesn't have some kind of relapse and then something else happens to somebody else.
So we have that mental health stigma, and we have that problem with going to get the help that we need. So that's a big problem as well in our community, especially as women, as Black women. We're doing better. Black men are not really good at going to get the mental health help that they need. But what other ways can you, as yourself, if you're dealing with, and we don't necessarily know that we're depressed. We don't always know what depression is. We don't know what it looks like. What kind of things do you do to make yourself feel better when you're feeling bad, or when you see yourself going down a slippery slope?
Having an accountability partner. Usually those closest to you know when something is happening with you. I do not have a psychology background. I am not a social worker.
You just know.
I just know that every time I've experienced some type of hurt or loss or had some type of negative energy, those closest to me knew first.
Usually
they saw
the
a
people
change in
around
my
you.
behavior.
Yeah.
I'm a shutdowner.
Okay.
So whenever I notice that I shut down, I will shut down on my friends. I will shut down on school. I will shut down on anything that kind of makes me feel pressure.
What do you mean by shut down?
I won't respond to text messages. I don't want to talk on the phone. So when I start to see those signs within myself, I'll sleep a lot.
Okay.
I go to my mom's house.
Is that a coping mechanism for you, sleeping a lot? Because what you're saying describes kind of depression.
I don't want to necessarily say it's a coping mechanism. Rather, it is a symptom of my depression.
Okay. So how do you help yourself to come out of it?
Usually my first step is I go to my mom's house.
Okay, get around somebody.
She is my sanctuary.
Okay.
So I'll go lay in bed with her, and I'll try to fake the funk for like 5 seconds, and then she'll hit me with
she can see right through you.
Yeah. So what's wrong? And then I'll just spill my guts.
Talking
I'll
about
pace. I'll start to walk. Now that I live with her, I'll go into her office right after work, and I'll start to pace. And she'll be like, "Okay, so what happened today?"
So that's a good one. Talking about it, getting it out.
Yeah.
You have any suggestions?
I definitely do that. But I write. Writing for me is therapeutic. And so even in my counsel with patients at the hospital, especially for us, for Black women, a lot of times we don't feel like we always feel like we're burdening somebody to have somebody listen to what we're going through, right?
That's good.
And so to combat that, like, that's part of my job, is to sit there and listen and to help guide people through like difficulty. But then I'm like, well, why don't you write it down and then nobody has to see it? But for me, writing has always been like cathartic. It's always been therapeutic. So
Writing
I feel like
is
it's
definitely
coming out of me
therapeutic.
when I write it.
I'm not there.
You know.
Journaling.
But I think it's because I'm in school. So whenever I'm writing, it's like
You're over it.
Yeah, I'm just done writing right now. Maybe when I graduate, then I can go back to therapeutically writing. But like anytime I start thinking about writing, I'm like papers, school,
So you need to talk
books.
about it. For you,
Yeah,
it's
I
talking
need
about
to
it, getting it out.
release. I need to talk about it. I need to clean.
Cleaning is therapeutic.
Like,
I used to paint.
I'll rearrange my furniture.
Yeah, I used to like to paint my house. I would paint my house, and just that kind of frees your mind, gets you moving and thinking and flowing, and it allows you to get out of that funky space. Definitely. Okay. So let's start here, because we kind of jumped into that story. But what I want to know is, how do you define self-love? What does self-love mean? What does that look like for you? We can start with you, Olivia, if you got an answer.
I am going through the process of relearning self-love right now. I was just in an 8-year relationship.
And you're 24?
And I am 24 years old.
It's a long time.
There were some toxic things that went on where I took on a lot of his stuff, like y'all talked about last week. And I forgot who I was. I gained weight. I became an emotional eater. And so self-love for me right now is knowing my triggers and knowing that I have developed coping mechanisms that get me around those triggers.
Okay.
Remembering that in self-love, it also means placing myself around people who love me, and who have continued to show up for me, because they're teaching me how to show up for myself.
Okay.
And just realizing that I'm not perfect.
None of us are.
Accepting my flaws. I'm a Virgo, so it is hard to accept my flaws. But I'm enjoying the process of accepting my flaws and realizing that people can wait on me. So if it takes me 15 days to process one conversation, it's going to take me 15 days to process that conversation. And within that process, I have to continue to love whatever emotion and experience whatever emotion I'm going through.
You gotta
and
be
experience
gracious with
it.
yourself.
Yep, and experience it in whole. I've been trying to tell my mom, like, it's okay to experience every emotion.
It's a lot, though. You know, dealing with those emotions and feeling those feelings, it's a lot, but you have to be gracious with yourself. Oftentimes, we are more hard on ourselves than we are on other people. We let other people continue to do things to us that we would not allow ourselves
or
to
even
do.
tell us it's not okay to be mad. Like, girl, this happened to you 2 days ago. Why are you still mad about it?
And nobody
because
can tell
I'm
you
still
how
processing
you feel.
it. Yeah.
No one can tell you how you feel or how you should feel. I used to struggle with that. I actually used to call my friends like, I'm mad. Am I wrong for being mad about
Right,
this?
no.
Should I be mad about this? And nobody can tell you how you should feel about something.
Yep.
So, Dynette, we're going to go to you.
One of the ways that I have exercised practicing and having self-love is by extending grace to myself. I have recently decided in my household, I have 3 children, 3 young ladies, and we are practicing extending grace to others. And so I'm, talking to them daily, sharing with them how important it is for us to extend grace to others, even if we feel like they don't deserve it. Well, in the process, I began to really think about how I don't show myself grace. I don't, I kind of beat myself up
All the
with
time.
different
That's what
things
we
that
do.
I have going on as a parent, as an entrepreneur. I'm a doctoral candidate. So having a lot of different things going on at one time, I just last week decided, you know what, I'm going to extend myself some grace. I'm going to just take the day off and just, nothing's going to get done. I think I texted you
It's
that
okay.
day.
It's okay.
That's extending grace. That would be my response for you.
So for me, it's treating myself in the way that I treat other people. Because a lot of times what we do is we'll give to somebody else. And then our cup is empty.
That's good.
My cup is empty. I know my kids are grown now, but when they were younger, I never thought about me. I always thought about what they needed, what we needed to do to get them to the next phase. And eventually that affected me. So for me, it is definitely paying attention to what I need, what I want, what works for me, and treating myself the way that I treat other people and the way that I would want to be treated. You have to treat yourself a certain way if you expect others to treat you that way.
That's good. I think what I started to do, first of all, I just want to commend Olivia because I did not have the perspective to be able to do what you say you're trying to do for yourself at
24. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I've been with the same person now for 20 years, and being with somebody for that long, you start to realize that it's harder to pull yourself apart from what you've been enmeshed in, and harder to figure out how do I put myself to the top of the list. And so what I found myself doing, because God is funny, and because you're a minister and you're a women's health minister, and women are notorious for not taking care of ourselves. So I have to go in the room and tell people, Miss Susan, it took you a whole year and you were having pain all over your body for a year and you didn't go to the doctor? No, because I was taking care of everybody. You have to make yourself first.
So
I'm saying this over and over.
But you're not living it.
But I'm like,
we learn to live in pain so much. That's why people, when they go to the doctor, they at stage 4 of whatever is going on, because they just been putting that Band-Aid on and going on about their business. And you're not supposed to hurt. You're not supposed to hurt physically. And when you're in a relationship with somebody, you shouldn't be hurting. Like that shouldn't be a continual part of the relationship, whether that's a male-female relationship, whether that's a girlfriend relationship, whether that's a familial relationship. You're not supposed to be hurting. You need to figure out what the problem is and deal with that.
Yeah, because your worth and your strength is not measured by how much pain you can tolerate.
That's a fact. And I think last week it was one of the guests said that we glorify the struggle.
Absolutely.
We definitely, we sit up and we like, as you said, I can carry everybody's problems on my back. Bring it to me. I got you. I'll help you. And meanwhile, what Erykah Badu got that song, Bag Lady? We carrying around all these bags, and these bags is breaking our backs.
Or we're wearing them as badges.
We think we doing something good. We think we're doing a good thing, but really you slowly breaking yourself down. You slowly losing you. You slowly giving your power away. And what we got to do is figure out how to stop that.
And can I say, from a spiritual perspective, if I'm talking about God, because that's what I get paid to do, but from a spiritual perspective, that's what the enemy wants us to do. And so the enemy wants you to internalize this stuff, to take all this stuff on, to have yourself broken down so that your full assignment in the earth cannot be completed because you're so busy giving out.
And I think that's good to say out loud, because a lot of times we don't say these things, so people don't know them. Whereas we have an Olivia who's 24, maybe 8 years ago when she got into that relationship, she would have known some things to look out for or some things to be mindful for had we had these conversations. And so it's important to know that you are not the bearer of other people's burdens. You are not the savior. You don't have to take on what they give you. You have the ability to say no. No is a complete sentence. It's hard. It's hard. It's definitely hard to just be like, hey, sis, can you do this for me? No. Usually it's no, because I got to do X, Y, Z. Or we make up a lie why we can't help somebody with something. And there's no need for that. No is a complete sentence, and that's okay. That's okay to be able to say no to somebody, and if it doesn't work for you. If it doesn't work for you.
I wanted to also add for Livy, once you say it out loud, you can then begin to do the work. And that work involves, like you stated, going to your mom's house, having that accountability partner, and really having an opportunity to just deal with each issue individually and not feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So that's good. And when I was your age, I absolutely was not as far along as you. Okay.
You're doing your work. You're doing your work real early.
It's that psychology background.
It is, because I'm a psychology major as well, and so psychology is such an interesting subject. You learn a lot actually studying psychology, and they have you looking at everybody sideways like, ooh, yeah.
I diagnose so many people every
day. Every day. Somebody.
I'm like, you're not supposed to diagnose people yet. You're not a clinician.
Or diagnosing yourself. You're like, maybe I'm a little bipolar. Is this
like,
manic?
I think I got ADD.
Yeah. Oh, everybody got ADD for sure, because we so busy with everything. So yeah, it's definitely though taking that time to realize what you're going through and to own your own emotions and feelings. So another thing that I think with self-care and self-love comes self-esteem. So I have a question for you ladies, and I post this on Facebook as I always do every week. What do you think about plastic surgery and self-love and self-esteem? Do you think they're connected at all?
I think that they can be.
Okay.
I know people who have gone underneath the knife that are my age.
Okay.
And in my opinion, they are not people that hate themselves or that have low self-esteem.
Okay.
It was just, I don't like this one thing, and I got money to change it.
They want to change it.
And I'm not gonna lie, if I had money to change things, maybe I would change things.
Okay.
But instead, I'm gonna hit Planet Fitness
And get your workout in.
do my squats.
Do what's in your budget. I'm not mad at that.
But I always think about, I think everybody always thinks about Little Kim.
That's where I was going.
And I'm a Little Kim fan.
Uh-huh.
I love Little Kim. I actually, before every interview, I listen to a Lil Kim song.
Check you out.
And it just puts me in a mindset like, you that girl.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
And it's not about your looks. It's about how you carry yourself.
It's what's within. Confidence
Yeah.
is what shines through.
And so I think she said time and time again, I never thought I was pretty.
And she was, though.
I never thought I was beautiful.
She looked better before, honestly.
Even just thinking about her relationship with Biggie and how that went, people were probably not telling her, like in her deep circle, like, you are beautiful. I grew up and I was getting my mom words of admiration every day. You're beautiful. You're smart. I wish I was as beautiful as you when I was that age. I wish I knew I was as smart as you when I was that age. And so it turns out when I took my love language test, that's my love language.
Words of affirmation.
And I do it to my friends. I'm like, you're beautiful. Like,
We
not just
need
today,
that.
but like, you know, you popping,
You don't, girl, yeah.
Like you, and it's just to the point where they come to me sometimes to get
They
it
need
from me.
they need you to
like,
fill them
right
up.
then and there, and I'm like, oh, but I'm such an organic person.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to push it out for you. But you know, I think that some people are missing that piece, and that's why if they have the money to change it, they're gonna change it.
So I don't think that plastic surgery, a small fix here or there, is an issue. But when you completely change or alter how you look, when you alter how you look, there are. I saw this one lady. I don't know who she is or what she was, but she was originally a white lady.
Oh, and then she turned into a black.
She turned
wants
into
to
a
be
black lady
woman
with huge boobs and a huge butt. That's a whole different situation. Or what's this show I watch? Oh my goodness, it's a show about with the plastic surgeons on Bravo. Botched.
Oh, Botched.
Yes, and those people come on there and they change. They want super big lips and super big butts, and that is different to me. That is a I think a self-esteem issue. We have a audience. Wants to.
I've had 2 sessions of academic therapy.
Okay. Well, I mean, so your opinion on that is that you can do what you need to do.
Well, that's because my butt didn't sit up like it used to after kids.
Okay. Okay. You want it to enhance.
I wanted to get it back how it used to.
You want to go back, take it back. Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday. I got it, definitely.
Throwback Thursday so I could throw it back. Like
Throw
I
it back,
used
bang,
to.
bang.
Like I used to.
You know what? I can't deal. I can't. What do you think, Dynette?
I think it could be both. I do know people that have gone under the knife for health reasons.
Okay.
And in that case,
That's a whole different, that's a
Right.
whole different
and
situation.
then there are some that desire,
Bigger lips, bigger butt.
yeah.
And your thoughts?
I agree. I think it could be both. I keep thinking about this Lizzo. I don't know. I've been listening to Lizzo. Like she listening to Lil Kim.
Everybody
and I'm
keeps
listening
talking about
to
Lizzo.
I like
I gotta
Lizzo.
check Lizzo. Okay, when I go home, I'm listening to Lizzo.
Yeah,
I don't even know who it is.
She
Yeah.
is
Out of
she's,
control.
She's awesome. But I was listening to her on the way here. Part of it because she talks so much about self-esteem and self-image and like loving yourself. And she has a song called Soulmate,
Okay.
where she talks about like loving who you are when you look in the mirror. Like your soulmate, you are your soulmate.
Oh, that's
You're
my
your first soulmate. And so I feel like, okay, if you feel like what you need to do in order to love that person is to tweak something here and there, okay. But if you feel like I am not a complete person because I'm not built. Cardi B is also, she went under the knife. She said she ain't had no butt, she ain't had no boobs, and she was trying to strip. So
She
needed
did
to
that
make
for
money.
business. That was a business decision. Yeah.
But if you feel like you are nothing unless you are built like that, and you're gonna do whatever you need to do to be built like that because you need to feel like you're something, that's a whole other issue because
But-
that's not gonna fix it.
So
either.
I was just gonna say, so my counter to that is a lot of times they get these surgeries and they still have self-esteem issues.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why they continue to get the surgery over and over and do more enhancements. Go ahead, you have something you want to add?
That's like a lot of people who get gastric bypass.
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of those people, they'll tell you they thought that the weight was going to make them feel better, but it's deeper issues than their
That's
weight.
not the problem.
Exactly.
That's not the problem. It's oftentimes the reason why you're doing the eating or the reason why you do this. I think of, and people don't deal with the actual reason for their their symptom. They deal with what they think will fix it. If I lose the weight, I'll feel better. But the weight isn't your problem. Right. That's not the problem. I think about that TLC. TLC got a song, Unpretty. You could buy your hair if it won't grow. You can fix your nose if they say so. Right. And you do all those things, and you still sad. And you don't know why. You look in the mirror, and I don't know what some of these people see when they look in the mirror after these surgeries. You know, when you look at Michael Jackson or his sisters, or I think that Michael Jackson was a nice looking person. I think Janet Jackson was pretty, but when you see your sister look like this, why would you go to that same? You want that look? Y'all got.
I don't know if you know, but Mike's was deep rooted. He hated his father so much, and everybody told him he looked just like him.
So he wanted to change his appearance. Yes. He wanted to, and so that speaks to what we're talking about with the issue of your self-esteem is tied to that. You want to run away from what a problem is instead of dealing with it. Because, okay, so you change your face, you don't look like Joe anymore. Joe's still your daddy. He's still here. He ain't gone nowhere. Yeah, I mean, so he's still around, and Michael Jackson's legacy is forever tied to Joe Jackson's legacy. It can't go away. You can't run from it. So just going to put a Band-Aid on it by getting some type of surgery is not the answer. That's not the answer. Go ahead.
So to prove to you, to show you that the surgery wasn't the answer, he literally killed himself from pain meds.
Because he was still hurting.
Struggling with that issue.
He was still hurting.
Because Joe ain't going nowhere. You did all that surgery. Joe's still here.
Mm-hmm. Joe had some surgery too.
They all had some. No, maybe they tried to keep it in the family, so we gonna all go get this nose.
Well, Joe said since Mike did this, we all still gotta look alike.
Right, we uniform. We uniform. We gonna stand as one. We the Jacksons, 2300 Jackson Street. We all gonna stand together and look crazy together, because in my opinion, they all look crazy. But most people, I can't say, boob implants, butt implants, lip implants, all of that's different. But when you start literally changing your face, your skin color, that's a whole different level of, I don't know if I want to say self-hatred. I don't know. What y'all think? Pain? A pain point? Yeah, you got something. I
don't know if it's a pain point. I think that it's no different than someone whose butt is big and they want to trim it down.
They want to bring it down.
Shrink it down, or they're kind of overdeveloped
and they want
up top and they want to
bring it down. So the breast reductions, I think that can be like a health issue. I've heard people have problems with their back and things like that, and so they want to reduce the size of their breast. So I'm not against plastic surgery, but I do think that don't they have to have some type of therapy or something like that?
I don't know if they do that. I mean, probably if you go to somebody that's reputable, they would recommend that you have some kind of therapy or psychological eval before they'll do it. Supposedly with gastric bypass, they're supposed to do that with every gastric bypass patient. You have to go through a certain length of therapy before they'll do it. But if I'm 40 years old and I've been dealing with this, whatever's underlying for 40 years, and you making me go to therapy for 6 months, listen, God can do anything, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
right.
You got
and we know how to bluff our way through stuff too.
Just because that's what you want to get to. Mm-hmm. That's what you want to get
when
to.
I think about the far extreme of that, I think about the people that's going over in other countries, or they're getting these butt shots in hotel rooms for cheap. Or I think about Kanye West's mother. Mm-hmm. I think they advised her not to get the procedure that she was getting, and she went ahead and proceeded with that. I don't know what that was about, because she was older. She wasn't a young person. She was older and she was educated. Right. I know she died from the cardiac issue, but I'm saying what made her go ahead to have the procedure against the doctor's orders.
I don't think we can put an age on desire.
Yeah, you're right.
But we got to remember that we live in a culture that is obsessed with youth. Yeah. And that there are very narrowly defined standards about what it means to be beautiful.
True. Right?
And so that's why part of the reason why I wore this shirt, because to me, part of self-love is I got to be able to define Whether you think I'm fine or not, I'm
Right.
fine to me.
You gotta,
Right?
yeah,
You
define
gotta be
yourself
able to
for
define
yourself.
it.
Yes.
And then when people reject that, be okay with that. Well, that I'm just not your cup of tea.
Facts.
You know, you got to
Facts.
be able to do that. But it's such a narrow standard that we set, and we want to think that we're above it, but we're not. We get pulled into it.
Yeah. Yeah. You think that's a cultural thing?
I do.
You think it's a cultural thing? You think that we're coming from behind, so we feel the need in order to compete, even though other cultures and other races, they want what we got. They want to get the bigger butts and the lips like we naturally have. So who are we competing against? What do we want to be?
Each other and ourselves.
Against ourselves. That's rough. That's rough. I think we all have had a time where we competed against ourselves. We downed ourselves. We didn't think that we were good enough to be in the room or at the table that we were sitting at. I think, and that's deep. That's real deep when you doubting yourself in a room that you deserve to be in, but you don't believe that you deserve to
Or
be
in
in
a
there.
room that you really should be in, because you could have your own table.
Oh yeah. I bought this table myself. I don't need to sit at your table. I could buy my own
Right.
table, but I'm downplaying myself
Right.
to sit at your table for whatever
To
reason.
fit in. Yeah.
Interesting. So tables, sitting at the tables and being in the room.
Oh.
Y'all know where I'm about to go? Okay. So y'all heard this if y'all was here a little earlier, if y'all was listening to the Lucas Twins podcast, your favorite Lucas Twins, we talked about Mr. Sean Carter and being at the table and being in the room. And so since we talking about self-love, I'm speaking about self-love of the culture. So I've been hearing that Jay-Z is a sellout. Because originally Jay-Z was standing with Kaepernick, and he was against what the NFL was trying to do. And as of lately, Jay-Z has now partnered with the NFL to be a part of their entertainment and their social justice initiatives. Do you all think that Jay-Z is selling out?
I don't. I think that as a society, we are quick to label things because we just have to understand it in that moment. And social media and text messaging and having instant contact to information makes it so that we're quick to process things. So we're quick to say he's a sellout when we wasn't in the room. Mm-hmm. We don't know what his thought process was behind that. And I think that as a culture, we are quick to ban people. We're quick to say, oh, well, what is it that we do now? Cancel him.
Oh yeah, we canceling him.
But what we have
He's
to
not invited to the
understand
cookout no
is
more.
Sometimes your level of thinking ain't their level of thinking.
So, TD Jakes said giraffes and turtles can't see the same thing.
They can't.
They cannot see the same thing. So you can't expect a turtle to understand what a giraffe sees
Right.
because their line of vision is totally different.
Right. So I think we just, I'm someone who I don't necessarily read into all this stuff because I'm a person that processes stuff on my own time. And then by the time I do get into it, that's when, the truth comes out. Oh, actually, this is what he wanted to do. And then everybody wants to backtrack. Oh, well, Jay-Z was my favorite back when, and I knew this line, and I did this. But you were quick to jump off his bandwagon when you heard something from a source that wasn't even in the room. So not only is that not a primary source, it's a secondary source. And you as
Look at this college student over here.
Right.
She been writing papers.
you know, so now,
She been writing papers.
how are you
And
to
studying.
develop an opinion when you don't have
You don't know
any
the
primary
facts.
source?
You don't know the facts.
And the only thing that when I talked about it today with my coworkers, I said the only thing that I'm willing to talk about is the fact what came out of his mouth. What came out of his mouth was, we are past the kneeling stage. It is time for action.
And I agree with
And
that.
I agree with that.
I agree with
We gonna be kneeling for 50 years?
Exactly.
We not. It's time for some action.
Okay. Dynette?
I don't think he's a sellout. I do think that we as a culture have been conditioned to believe that we should only sit in, we should only protest. We should
Glorifying
only
the struggle
march.
yet again.
And then once the march is over, once the sit-in is over, when another action item comes across the news, we've switched. One of my favorite cartoons that I still watch with my 15-year-old is Home. And it's basically a story about a husband and wife. They grew old together, and a dog that could talk.
It's called Home, H-O-M-E.
Is it on Netflix?
Help them. I don't think so. I have the DVD.
Because I've never heard of it.
I'm old school. So, the dog is basically helping him to find his youth.
Okay.
In his older age. And they walked, and they were just on a journey, and they were walking, and every time something came up or distracted the dog, he would turn, and his attention would be taken completely off of what he was trying to guide the man toward. And like one time they saw a squirrel, so he would turn around and say, "Oh, squirrel," or "garbage," and I think that as a culture, that's what we do.
So we get so distracted.
Instead of focusing on the real issue.
Speaking of that, they said that news sources are saying that this Jay-Z situation was put out here just in time to be a distraction from the other guy, the Ross guy, who was supporting Donald Trump.
Right.
So they're saying that Jay-Z is being thrown under the bus by the NFL. They're using him as a cover to smooth over relations with black people.
Well, I think he's a smart man.
That's what I think.
He is not is he a millionaire, billionaire?
Billionaire girl,
billionaire.
would it be?
I don't think that he got all of that just from rapping.
He didn't.
Right out of the
He didn't.
Marcy Projects. I think that he's very strategic in what he's doing, and I look forward to seeing the outcome.
Do you think he is so?
I don't think he's a sellout. I think that I think what everybody has said, like we don't know the conversations. I think that he's smarter than that. I do think that what we have to be mindful of is that when we get a seat at the table, and I think that this is where if I don't play devil's advocate, he got enough, he don't need no more. But if you're thinking about the flip side of the argument, is when you are afforded a seat at the table, it's like, what do you do when you get to the table, right? And so, because we don't know what he's doing when he got to the table,
That's
it's
my
like,
thought.
It's this gap of information, and so we don't know what he's doing when he got to the table. So it stirs all this ire because it looks like he's so Colin Kaepernick out.
Does it make sense? So from a financial perspective, Jay-Z's already rich. Of course, we can never have too much money, but he's already rich. He's already taking a stand for black people. Why would he just all of a sudden flip his stance? So people are saying that he did this because it's a good financial move for him.
Okay.
It absolutely is a good financial move.
But him marrying Beyonce was a good financial move for
was a
him as
business
well.
What this is what kills me, and it kills me in this way in the social justice movement. It kills me in the church. Why do we this world operates on money?
I would take the money.
So why?
You gonna stay broke? Who's staying broke?
He's a responsible steward of his money too.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about him bailing people out of jail. We're talking about him paying defense funds for folks. We're talking about he and his wife doing scholarships to HBCUs.
That's why it doesn't make sense to me.
So we fall into the trap that the media wants us to fall in, into focusing on this they do this to us, and they have done this over the course of history, right? And we think it's either Malcolm X or it's Martin Luther King. Both of them, right? We think it's W.E.B. Du Bois or it's Booker T. Washington. It's both of them. And so there always has got to be an evil one and a good guy, so that we will not understand the power of what we're supposed to be doing
The
together.
power of the collective.
And that black people, it's no one right way to do it.
You throwing? She got. We got an audience comment.
No, I was going to say, when you were talking about as far as the money, now I don't think he's a sellout, but of course the money comes first, because before he's for the people, he's for the Carters.
Yeah, as he should be. Again, we talking about the topic of the show is put some respect on your own name and self-love. And his family, they eating, but he won't. What Beyonce say?
A whole bunch of great kids on your Forbes list.
On your Forbes list.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. And I feel like if you could make the money and you could get a seat at the table, at least you in the room and you know what's happening. So, excuse me, should we not take a seat at the table because the people gonna think it's a problem?
I think the people have a problem with the fact that he has money and he's doing this. That is not Bobby from 79 making this.
Bobby from 79th would not be invited.
He can't come to the party.
The reason why the NFL is inviting him to the party is not only because he has money, but because he has influence.
So we have to use our power. Go ahead.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I don't think it's so much as people should be criticized for criticizing him. What they're doing is holding him accountable to some of the things he said and done. Mm-hmm. He was very instrumental when
with the Barclays.
The Barclays, and that was a real heavy gentrification time in Brooklyn. And his stake was done, which was only 1%, after Brooklyn acquired it. So it was easy for Brooklyn to usher in this whole new change if, for one, Jay-Z was on the forefront. Mm-hmm. Two, a lot of people that he's dealt with in the past, from people in the music industry, don't have a lot of good things saying about Jay-Z, about a lot of shady deals he's done and everything like that. And not only that, just him outright boycotting the NFL at a time when now he's, embracing it.
With that being said, so he boycotted the NFL at a time. And today he's partnering with the NFL. You don't think that's strategic? You think that he woke up one day?
I just think that there is some justification in holding him to what he said and his actions.
Okay.
Everybody, you have more people defending Jay-Z, but he is hypocritical in some ways. Now, what's yet to be seen is yet to be seen. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But ownership in the NFL and the Major League Baseball league is completely different from the NBA. It's like it's two totally different levels.
I've heard.
Black people can get ownership in the NBA. It's not easy. There's no black ownership in baseball, and this is the first step towards it in NFL.
Yeah, that was a conversation. So this debate has been going on in my house. I live with a sports fanatic, most importantly, a football fanatic, who is also a Jay-Z fan. But at this point,
and I'm a Jay-Z fan, by the way.
Yeah, and so he's divided. My guy's divided on this. He doesn't know how he feels about Jay-Z right now, because he's saying in order to get into NFL ownership, the stakes are very high. It costs a lot of money to be able to do that. And he is saying that does Jay-Z have that kind of money? What kind of deals did he make in the back office to be able to make this happen? And he also believes that Jay-Z is being used. He's being used.
One more thing. If anything, the NFL has completed their objective, because we're talking about Jay-Z going to watch the NFL to see what happens. So mission is complete. We're going to watch to see what happens.
I agree with that. But my biggest, and we're going to take a break. I know we need to take a break.
No.
The one thing that this time,
Yeah.
we already made it through. Check that out. So my thing, before we wrap up then, and we're going to leave Jay-Z where it is. As I said at home, let's revisit this situation in a couple months and see how it plays out. But what I want to do definitely on her rules, our topic was self-love and self-care and putting some respect on your own name. So before we go, I definitely want to leave a takeaway for our viewers and for our listeners on what ways you can show yourself self-love and self-care. On Facebook, some of the things that came up were taking yourself out on a date, treating yourself to flowers, bubble baths, long walks. Is there anything else that you ladies would like to add as being able to give yourself self-love and self-care?
I think those are good things. Self-care, I think, has been branded as this, like, pampering yourself. Like, I'm not against a good massage. For me, the thing has been saying no without apology.
Right? No, it's a complete sentence.
Unplugging.
Yeah, unplug, disconnect.
I write messages to myself.
Like Mary Jane. Being Mary Jane, she put those Post-it notes
on my mirror.
Okay.
Not on Post-it notes, but on my mirror. And I have whiteboard wallpaper that I have in my bathroom. And anytime I receive a message from God, I write it on there. So right
Okay.
now it's why do things come full circle? And then the 3 things that I'm grateful for: grace, joy, and love. And so when I read that in the morning, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm like, today gonna be a good day.
Today, absolutely. So I think that those words of affirmation, if you are not familiar with your own love language, look it up. Take a test, figure out what your love language, and treat yourself accordingly. Hold yourself to a standard that you would hold anybody else to. Be sure to understand that you matter. You are important. You are valued. No is a complete sentence. I'm going to say it again. No is that will save you so many headaches and heartaches, saying no to things that do not work for you. We're about to wrap up. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to leave? We are good. Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this week to Her Rules. Again, as I say every week when I end the show, when a woman makes the rules, she changes the game. See you all next Thursday. Catch us live on Facebook at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Talk to you soon.